The movie begins on an unknown planet with a strange bird. Its long beak unlike anything found on Earth, perched in a person's hand. Suddenly, a hand emerges from the wreckage of a crashed ship and grabs the bird. Riddick appears, having crawled out of the wreckage, and quickly heads toward a nearby water source, only to find it undrinkable. After a brief rest, he awakens to the sound of a distant howl. He discovers his leg is broken and sets it between two rocks to treat it. His screams of pain attract the attention of nearby hyena-like creatures. Riddick, donning his goggles, spots them from a distance and makes a decision to retreat toward a hole for safety. He submerges himself in the water, hoping the animals will pass by. Once the danger has passed, Riddick takes a moment to fix his leg but fails to notice one of the hyena-like creatures lurking behind him. It attacks, but Riddick throws a piece of his armor, distracting the animal long enough for him to escape. After making repairs, he journeys across the desert until he discovers a cave, where he finds drinkable water. Upon exploring further, he notices a ladder and prepares to climb, but is interrupted by the sound of approaching hyenas. As they near the cave entrance, a strange creature bursts from the water and kills one of the hyenas, sending the rest fleeing. Riddick watches as the creature emerges, and they engage in a brief but intense battle. Ultimately, Riddick evades the creature's attacks and escapes the cave. He continues his trek through the hostile land until he arrives at an ancient fortress. Inside, he collapses, exhausted, and falls asleep. While sleeping, Riddick has vivid memories of his past. He recalls being the Lord Marshal in the Legend of the Nike manga, troubled by a past betrayal. In his memories, he is seen conversing with Sabius, who is discussing the planet Foran. A woman in the room tries to assassinate Riddick but fails, and in his rage he kills her. Sabius questions his actions, but Riddick's blood-stained chair is a testament to the confrontation. Sabius taunts Riddick, provoking him to kill again, but Riddick controls his anger, choosing not to follow through. The conversation shifts to Riddick's past, with Sabius telling him of a warrior with eyes like his, and speaking of the planet Foran. Riddick demands the planet's location, but Sabius refuses to answer. In a tense moment, Riddick holds a knife to Sabius's neck, and the deal is struck. Sabius reveals that the map to Foran lies in his memories. Riddick agrees to help Sabius obtain something called transcendence, which represents a constant readiness for danger. Sabius provides Riddick with a ship, promising a passage to Foran, but Riddick soon discovers that he has been tricked, and is instead taken to another planet. After quickly dispatching the soldiers, Riddick is confronted by a man with a disfigured face, who uses the fallen soldiers' weapons to fire at the ground where Riddick stands, causing the rock beneath him to break. Riddick falls into a chasm, and the man believes him to be dead. However, Riddick survives and begins a new journey on this dangerous world. As he explores, he notices that only one of the hyenas remains alive. He decides to keep it with him, caring for it over the following days. When the hyena falls ill, Riddick captures a scorpion-like creature, extracting its poison and injecting it into the hyena, which miraculously recovers. Riddick then tests the poison on himself, building an immunity. He prepares to face the next challenge, a poisonous creature from the water. After a brief confrontation, Riddick manages to defeat the creature, but as he turns to check on the hyena, a massive creature emerges from the water. Riddick fights back, narrowly escaping with his hyena, but the creature returns. Riddick crawls under the creature, cutting open its belly, allowing him to flee as the creature consumes its own intestines. Months later, Riddick is walking through the desert with his now-grown hyena, which has become fully adult. The hyena plays with a ball, and Riddick observes piles of debris scattered across the land. Upon climbing a hill, he spots a structure in the distance. Inside, he finds food and supplies, which he shares with the hyena. A storm approaches, and Riddick senses that his time on this planet is nearing its end. He scans for news, only to discover that he is wanted, and a bounty has been placed on his head. A ship arrives, searching for him, dead or alive. As the crew disembarks, Captain Santana and his team begin their search. During their investigation, they uncover a message on the wall urging them to leave the area. Santana orders Luna, the youngest crew member, to wake up a prisoner, remove her shackles, and force her to leave the ship. As the prisoner attempts to flee, Santana shoots her, killing her in front of Riddick. Santana introduces himself, revealing his intent to kill Riddick. However, the arrival of more bounty hunters complicates matters. Santana tries to prevent others from claiming the reward on Riddick's head, but Colonel John Doe and his crew arrive, disregarding Santana's orders. Later, Riddick observes the crew from a distance as two of Santana's men search the area. The machine discovers a hyena from 2 years ago, but Diaz shoots it. However, they soon realize it was not the real threat as the hyena steals an item, and the machine begins malfunctioning. Riddick intervenes, attempting to disrupt the machine's frequency, drawing attention to the missing item. As the crew prepares to continue their search, they uncover an object on the ground, which turns out to be an innocent plate, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of their mission. When Santana destroyed one of his crew members, the group became increasingly cautious. Santana ignored warnings from Riddick and his surroundings, prompting his crew to engage in reckless actions, leading to a deadly trap that exploded and took another life. Tensions escalated as Santana tried to assert dominance while John took charge, instructing his team to remain inside the ship and avoid unnecessary risks. However, as night fell, the dangers of the planet became apparent. Two of Santana's crew ventured into the dark to search for Riddick but were ambushed. One was captured and tied up, while the other was attacked by a hyena. Meanwhile, John ordered his team to track Riddick using a hyena they had shot with a barium-coated bullet. Their journey led them to a cave where they found remnants of Riddick's hideout. Upon closer inspection, they discovered the gruesome fate of one of Santana's missing crew members. Inside the cave, chaos ensued. The crew realized that Riddick had been watching them all along, toying with their movements and sabotaging their equipment. Tensions within the group grew, with Santana's arrogance clashing with John's strategic thinking. Dola, one of John's trusted team members, found herself facing Riddick in a tense confrontation. Santana's behavior toward Dola turned predatory, but before he could act further, Riddick intervened, ready to finish him off. Amid this turmoil, Riddick demonstrated his tactical brilliance. He used a device to mimic sounds, misleading the group and creating chaos. Eventually, he made his presence known, proposing a deal. He warned them about an impending storm that would bring deadly creatures to the surface. If they didn't leave the planet within 24 hours, survival would be impossible. Riddick demanded a ship to escape, threatening to unleash his lethal skills if his terms weren't met. The group hesitated but underestimated him. Dola managed to shoot Riddick with a tranquilizer, incapacitating him. Santana, fueled by rage, killed the hyena companion that had loyally followed Riddick. This act enraged John, who struck Santana. They restrained Riddick and interrogated him about his past, specifically about a tragedy that occurred on the planet 10 years prior. Riddick refused to divulge much, frustrating John. As the storm approached, Riddick mocked their predicament, warning them of the horrors to come. Suddenly the rain began, and with it, the emergence of deadly, venomous creatures from the ground. These monsters attacked the group, killing several crew members in gruesome ways. The remaining survivors scrambled to defend themselves, realizing that Riddick's warnings were true. Bound in chains, Riddick laughed, confident that his restraints would soon be removed. The group, overwhelmed by the creatures, had no choice but to negotiate with him. John reluctantly agreed to Riddick's terms, recognizing that his combat skills were their only chance for survival. With time running out and the creatures multiplying, Riddick's freedom became their last hope of escaping the nightmare they had unleashed. John pressed a knife to Riddick's neck, warning him that the chains would stay on. Dola attempted to intervene, but Riddick retaliated, knocking her down and tangling her in Diaz's grasp. Meanwhile, Santana tried to execute Riddick, but his knife was flung to the ceiling. It fell near the closet, where Riddick skillfully grabbed it and launched it back at Santana, striking him in the brain and killing him instantly. True to his promise, Riddick placed Santana's severed tooth inside a box, leaving everyone stunned, simultaneously shocked and relieved. Freed from his chains, Riddick ventured outside to confront the swarm of poisonous creatures. Fargas was bitten by one of the smaller creatures despite Diaz's efforts to kill it, and succumbed to the venom shortly after. Determined to recover the stolen ship components Riddick had hidden, the group mounted motorcycles and set off. On the way, they used Diaz's motorcycle exhaust flames to fend off the attacking creatures. However, Diaz betrayed John, shoving him off a mountain. Riddick, acting quickly, saved him from certain death. They eventually reached the hidden stash where Riddick revealed a startling truth. John's son had become addicted to morphine. As tensions mounted, Diaz sabotaged one of the motorcycles and attempted to kill the group. Despite his immense strength, Diaz was fatally wounded by Riddick in the ensuing fight. In his final moments, Diaz ignited the remaining motorcycle, leaving the group stranded without transportation. With no choice but to proceed on foot, they battled the relentless onslaught of poisonous creatures. While the group managed to eliminate several, the situation grew increasingly dire. A climactic explosion caused by John destroyed many of the creatures, but Riddick was critically injured. John, seeing no way to carry him back, reluctantly left Riddick behind and returned to the ship, urging the crew to depart the planet immediately. Riddick, refusing to give up, cauterized his wounds with searing rocks from the explosion and began climbing a mountain to escape. The creatures swarmed him and it seemed his fate was sealed. Suddenly, shots rang out from above, killing the creatures. John had returned to save Riddick. Together, they escaped the deadly storm and left the planet aboard 2 ships, parting ways after reaching safety. In the film's closing moments, Riddick embarked on a journey home, intent on confronting those who betrayed him. The narrative shifted to reveal the man with the disfigured face, who had orchestrated Riddick's downfall. It became clear that Sebus had not betrayed Riddick, but the disfigured man had manipulated events to prevent Riddick's resurgence. In a swift act of vengeance, Riddick killed the man. In his final conversation with a mysterious woman, Riddick inquired about Spiros. Her cryptic response, both alive and dead, hinted at a completed deal that aligned with Riddick's ultimate goal. The film concluded with Riddick poised to face his flaws and enemies, setting the stage for future stories.